I'm a conservative in America and I'm watching CNN just for the straight middle of the road, that's what I hear for 15 minutes is it's great. And then Lonely Scott. It does look, I mean, and when you see the path, it does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View.
Remember that unforgettable moment when Bill Maher obliterated Kaitlan Collins and CNN live on air? Yeah, that moment. The internet exploded, the clip went viral, and the replay button got a serious workout. But here's the real twist, that explosive exchange was just the opening salvo. What started as a heated debate has now morphed into an all-out media feud, and it's escalating fast. Let's get real, this isn't some polite disagreement between media pros. This is media warfare. Maher's been lobbing sharp shots at Collins, calling her out in terms that leave zero room for misinterpretation. And Collins? She's charging ahead like a woman on a mission. Neutrality? Long gone. She's not just reporting the news, she's crafting it, shaping the story to match her own narrative. There's a growing chorus saying Collins has gone full crusader, relentless, unapologetic, and laser-focused on one thing, getting Trump out of the White House by any means necessary. Subtlety isn't in her playbook. Whether it's spinning a narrative, dropping a loaded question, or flashing that "I'm just doing my job" smile, she's locked in. And God help anyone who gets in her way.
What is the most pressing question, Kaitlan, you would ask VP Harris if you had the chance? Ooh.
I have a lot of questions for her, but I do think I would ask about, where she stood when she was running as a candidate and for the 2020 Democratic primary and where she stands on a lot of issues now. She's criticized a lot by Republicans for reversing her positions. I think also, Donald Trump has reversed a lot of his positions from covering those. But I think I would be interested in her evolution and where her instincts are and, what she learned from governing with a moderate like President Biden.
Boom. Boom. Just like that. Instant villain status. Think this is just another puffed-up media spectacle? Think again. We've got throwback footage that flips the whole narrative on its head. Back when the tension was still quietly brewing, Ma hit Kaitlan with what seemed like a harmless question. If you had a one-on-one sit-down with Kamala Harris, what would you ask her? Simple, right? But watch the moment closely, the energy in the room shifted. Instead of answering with curiosity or insight, Kaitlan shut down. Cold. Defensive. It wasn't about the question, it was about control. About her agenda. That was the spark. What followed were weeks of subtle digs, icy tension, and a rivalry that crept into every live broadcast. And trust me, this drama? It's just warming up. The wildest part? That innocent question, what would you ask Kamala Harris? Somehow led Kaitlan straight into a rant about Donald Trump. Like, how do you even make that leap? The man could be teeing off in Florida, totally out of sight, and she'll still twist the conversation to bring him in like he's the main character. At this point, it's not just a habit, it's a reflex. An obsession. Trump isn't a politician to her anymore, he's a prop. A guarantee headline. A controversy generator. You can almost hear the CNN control room cheering every time she drops his name. Cue the chaos, cue the clicks, cue the cable news circus.
You guys have that debate?
It's ABC debate.
ABC debate.
If it happens, I still think it's an open question.
Really?
Trump's going to go. He's got to.
Do you think Trump is going to pull out?
I think Trump is nervous about it. I think I talked to a lot of sources in his world. I think he has really struggled with it. It's not just a narrative or a talking point from Democrats. He really has struggled with how to combat her. And I think going into that debate, he does not really want to do it. I think it's difficult, if not impossible, for him to pull out because his campaign manager had cards printed that said anywhere, anytime, any place for President Biden, and it would look weak, but I don't think he's looking forward to it at this point.
Why is she doing this? Simple, Trump is her trump card, no pun intended. Her golden goose. Every time his name drops, her audience lights up like it's Pavlovian. So, what does she do? She feeds the frenzy. Not because it's relevant, because it works. It keeps her in the spotlight, stirs up outrage, and fans the anti-Trump flames into a full-blown wildfire. Facts. Who needs him? This isn't about truth. It's about airtime, engagement, and keeping people pissed off enough to stay glued to the screen. But Bill Maher? He wasn't buying it. Not for a second, he saw it coming from a mile away. You could read it on his face, he knew exactly how she'd play it. Dodge the real question, twist the narrative, and drop Trump's name like it was scripted. Only this time? Maher flipped the script. He called it out in real time, cutting through the noise and putting Kaitlan on the back foot. She didn't see it coming, you could almost see the shift, the flicker of uncertainty, the pause, the tightened smile. Her usual rhythm? Gone. Her go-to deflections? Falling flat. Maher had her number, and for once, she wasn't in control, and here's the kicker, asterisk asterisk the irony's so thick you could cut it with a knife. Kaitlan and CNN love to brand themselves as the calm in the chaos. Fair. Balanced. Unbiased. That's the mantra. They cling to it every time they're called out. But let's be real, if that segment proved anything, it's that the Neutrality Act is just that, an act. They can swear up and down that they're not pushing an agenda, but the behavior tells a different story. Kaitlan had made up her mind about Trump long before the debates, before the polls, before the facts even had a chance to show up. She wasn't there to analyze, she was there to narrate the ending. And somehow forgot to tell us who wrote the script. Where's the objectivity in that? She wasn't asking questions. She was giving answers. Premature ones. And calling it journalism. So much for being the voice of reason.
I'm not a political pundit trying to analyze this stuff, but I do know that it's a very easy debate to win. So all you have to say is, look, you had 4 years, I had 4 years. When I was president, and when you were president, here's the differences. Gas prices are up 50% when you're vice president. Electricity prices up 30%. Grocery up 22%. The list keeps going. Taxes were lower under Trump. They raised them under Biden-Harris. Regulations were lower under Trump. They raised them under Biden and Harris. Immigration numbers way down. They actually tried to stop the problem. Record numbers under Biden and Harris. This is a very easy debate to win because on the metrics, it's very easy to show side by side.
None of this was strategy, not even close. Kaitlan Collins was operating purely on wishful thinking. No facts, no polling data, no grounded analysis. Just vibes and biased. In her world, Trump was already toast, and oh wait and see, no curiosity about what voters might actually think. She'd written the ending before the story even started. In her fantasy, he was finished, done and dusted, before the campaign even got off the ground, but reality? Reality had other plans, and Bill Maher? He was watching it all unfold like a hawk. Calm. Calculated. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Because if there's one thing Maher doesn't tolerate, it's media spin dressed up as journalism. Kaitlan didn't see it coming. She was too busy crafting her narrative, convinced she was ahead of the game. But Maher had already set the trap, and she walked right into it. Now let's talk about that so-called debate. Be real, asterisk asterisk, it was a layup for Trump, home court advantage. All he had to do was show up, take the stage, and remind America what things looked like under his administration, a booming economy, a secure border, a solid foreign policy, and global respect that didn't need translation. Compare that to the current scene under Biden and Harris: division, chaos, instability. Trump didn't need to say much. The contrast speaks for itself. So why would he back out? That's what made Kaitlan's take so bizarre. It was like she couldn't imagine Trump doing well. The idea was too threatening, so she created her own alternate timeline, one where he either skips the debate or crashes and burns, preemptive damage controlled. If the real event didn't go her way, she'd already built the narrative to cushion the fall. And if the outcome looked promising for Trump? Easy. Just dismiss the win before it even happens. Rain on the parade before the first balloon is airborne. Kaitlan confidently predicted Trump would go off script and blow it. That was her whole argument. No evidence. No nuance. Just another recycled anti-Trump soundbite she probably had locked and loaded before the cameras even rolled. This wasn't analysis. It was fan fiction, and Maher? He shut it down. Live. On air. With surgical precision.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know I don't know how we get away with it with all the, but they do. And all these dirty jokes. But I'm glad. And I'm a big rooter for CNN. But that tells you a lot, doesn't it?
This wasn't journalism. IT wasn't analysis. IT was straight up damage control. Kaitlan knew what was coming. Maher knew what was coming. And let's be honest, he was enjoying every second of it. Watching her spiral into full narrative mode, watching the mask slip. Because deep down, Kaitlan wasn't reporting the truth, she was bracing for impact. She knew Trump was about to shake the table. So what was her plan? Discredit him before he even stepped up to the mic. Preemptive spin. But here's the problem, Kaitlan, and the entire CNN machine, can't stand the real reason Trump keeps winning people over. He doesn't need a script. Trump's political style isn't media trained or polished. It's raw, chaotic, and unapologetically real. He talks like your uncle at a 4th of July cookout, not some sanitized, focus group politician reading safe takes off a teleprompter. And that's exactly why his base loves him. IT feels real, IT cuts through the noise, but for Kaitlan and her media circle, that's the stuff of nightmares. They worship control. Scripts. Carefully worded press releases. Rehearsed lines and approved sound bites. When someone like Trump rolls in and throws all of that out the window, they're left scrambling. He doesn't play by their rules, and that terrifies them. So when Kaitlan casually brushed him off like he didn't matter, she wasn't just dismissing a candidate, she was revealing her hand. Her bias. Her agenda. The media's fear of losing control. And Bill Maher? He saw it. You could see it in his eyes. He was locked in, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and when he did, Kaitlan wasn't ready, because here's the truth no one in that newsroom wants to say out loud, nobody's buying the act anymore. She can bounce from panel to panel with a change of tone or try to frame CNN as balanced, but the audience sees through it. It's too late. Those quick pivots and curated appearances? They're just a little political makeup over a very public bruise, and Kaitlan? It's not working, viewers are blind, and neither is Maher. A guest spot here. A token conservative there. It's all part of the illusion. Smoke and mirrors. A perfectly staged performance to give the appearance of fairness. But when you run the numbers, the bias isn't just visible, it's mathematical. 4 left-leaning panelists for every conservative voice, and they dare to call that a balanced debate? Please, that's not a conversation. That's a monologue with background noise. This isn't journalism, it's a rigged game, not a one-sided show where the token conservative is there purely for optics. A political prop. A heat shield for criticism when the bias gets too obvious to ignored. It's like tossing one person into a lion's den and saying, see? Totally fair. No, it's not fairness, it's fiction. And the viewers? They're done playing along.
On CNN being a place of credibility, I mean, look at what just happened in Chicago. We had 300 people from CNN on the ground covering that convention. There were several reporters from just our team alone on the floor, bringing it in real time to people. And I think CNN puts resources behind things and just brings a level of news that you don't get anywhere else.
And here's the real kicker. When the Democrats hold their convention, suddenly the media turns into a love fest. CNN, NBC, ABC, they're all over it, glowing coverage of the energy, the unity, the bright future. It's a spectacle, they say, a shining example of democracy at work, the promise of progress unfolding before our eyes. But don't be fooled. It's the same game, just a different narrative. The difference? When Republicans take center stage, it's all about catching them in a mistake, amplifying every misstep, every stumble. But when the left is on display, it's a pat on the back, a celebration, a message that says, look how far we've come. But here's the reality, these conventions, whether for Republicans or Democrats, should be about ideas, real debates on policy, what the future holds, and how we, as a country, move forward. Instead, we get media playing favorites, cherry-picking moments for maximum drama and impact. It's not about fairness, it's about control. Control of the narrative, control of public perception. Think about it. The Democratic National Convention? Media treats it like a polished Hollywood event. No chaos, no mess, just the perfect image. But the GOP? Every mistake, every slip-up is highlighted as if it's the most important thing in the world. Why? Because it fits the agenda, and the saddest part? People see it. Audiences aren't fooled anymore by the smoke and mirrors. They know what's going on. It's a setup, a rigged game. No matter how much CNN tries to pretend it's balanced, no matter how many token conservatives they throw into the mix, it's obvious, and at the end of the day, the public is fed up. CNN's audience isn't naive anymore. The mask is off, and people are waking up to the game being played. The fair and balanced mantra is a joke now. The audience has seen too much, and trust? It's gone.
In America, and I'm watching CNN just for the straight middle of the road. That's what I hear for 15 minutes is it's great, and then Lonely Scott. It does look, I mean, and when you see the path, it does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. It's like it's almost better to have nobody there, like MSNBC, than to have this.
CNN has become a glorified PR machine. No interruptions, no fact checks, no awkward moments for the anchors, just soft lighting, cheerful tones, and non-stop praise. Every speech is treated like a national treasure, every gaffe conveniently swept under the rug, and every protester disappears like magic. This isn't journalism, it's choreography. So Kaitlan, don't pretend CNN is out here doing real reporting. People see right through it. The double standard is painfully obvious. CNN's mission isn't about informing the public, it's about controlling the narrative. And honestly, people are fed up with it. There's no pressure, no tough questions, no real pushback. Just endless applause like every Democrat on that stage is delivering a life-changing TED Talk. Every speech is historic, every soundbite powerful, and magically, every controversy vanishes. No hard-hitting follow-ups, no messy headlines. It's just smooth, polished praise from CNN's coverage team, as if they're watching a Broadway show instead of a political event. Kaitlan, don't try to act like CNN was at the Republican convention to be fair. We all know the truth, you and your team weren't there to report the facts. You were there hoping for a slip-up, a viral moment. Waiting for Trump or his allies to make a mistake so you could pounce. Everyone sees through it now. The mask is off, Bill Maher wasn't fooled, and he didn't hold back, he called it exactly like it is. He's right. The real insult isn't just media bias, it's fake balance. Throwing one conservative into a panel of 4 or 5 left-leaning voices, only to interrupt them the second they speak, and then calling it a fair debate? That's not balance, that's a trap. That's optics. That's theater. And Maher took it further. Did he really compare CNN to The View? Ouch. But honestly, it wasn't even an exaggeration, it was spot on. Going from being the leader in cable news to being lumped in with a show full of emotional rants and screaming matches? That's the reality now. CNN's format, tone, and structure are eerily similar to a talk show. It's not journalism anymore, it's performative news, wrapped in a shiny logo that's all about controlling the narrative, not about informing the audience. Maher didn't just catch CNN slipping, he exposed the whole machine. The bias, the strategy, and the irrelevance. Because here's the problem, CNN isn't just spinning the news, it's shrinking. Losing trust. Losing viewers. Losing its place as a serious news platform. Once considered the gold standard of hard-hitting journalism, CNN is now being compared to a gossip show, and for good reason. Even people on the left are starting to roll their eyes. You can only cry wolf for so long before people stop tuning in. And when Bill Maher, no friend of the far right, starts roasting you on live TV, you know things have gone off the rails. Maher didn't just call out CNN's bias, he shredded Kaitlan Collins' obsession with Trump and exposed how far the network has drifted into irrelevance. No more tough questions, no real challenges. Just partisan theater dressed up as news. When someone like Maher, who's navigated between liberal commentary and independent thought for years, sees through your act, that's a major red flag. It's the final nail in the coffin. CNN's credibility isn't just cracked, it's collapsed, And that wraps up today's breakdown. If you enjoyed this no-filter commentary on the media, politics, and everything in between, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an update. There's plenty more coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.